Hello, hello. This is Tina Michelle, and you are watching Tina Speaks. Today, we are having an episode that is very, very special to me. This is about my journey to wellness. And why is it very special to me? Well, I started this conversation over a year ago. A year ago, I went to, now this is probably a year and a half ago, I went to the doctor, and the doctor said to me, as I was deciding to shoot this whole conversation around obesity in America, obesity in minority communities, and self-care for women, he said, you can't do the workout that you want to do. Now, you're supposed to go to a doctor to get the doctor to approve whatever workout, whatever thing you're doing. And I was expecting to get just signed off on. And he said, you can't do this. He said, your MRI has shown that you have had a heart incident. A little bit of history. In 2010, my mother had a stroke. And my mother and I have the same birthday. And we are so much alike that most people couldn't figure out who was singing, who was speaking. And she had a stroke. And the stroke lasted for 3 days and put her into a comatic state for 30-something days. So for 30-something days, I sat by my mother's bedside and watched her die. She was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 15 years before that, as well as my father. During this time, it was so stressful, but all I could do is keep looking at her and saying to myself, I will not allow my daughter to go through what I just went through, because it was very painful. Looking at the whole country and the foods that we eat and the things that we do. My mother's stroke started on a Tuesday, ended on a Thursday. It lasted for 2 days. And the plaque was not in her heart. We had her heart already checked. It was actually in her throat. So it went from one side of her head to the other side of the head. To me, it was like a terrorist. It was like shrapnel was going through my mother's head, and this terrorist, stemming from obesity, killed my mother, and I couldn't stop it. It began this conversation for me, but meanwhile, here I am taking care of my mother. My father had several mini heart attacks. My son was going through changes. My heart, my body went into absolute crisis. I tried to keep going because I was a mom. I had to keep taking care of my kids. I had to keep speaking. I had to keep traveling. I had to keep until my body said no more. I was in so much pain I couldn't move. I had rheumatoid fibromyalgia. That means pain all over my body, and a heart incident, which I later found out that I ignored because of the other pains. So now fast forward to a year and a half ago, and I'm sitting there in this wonderful naturopathic / allopathic doctor's office, and he's like, I can't sign off on you. You have stuff going on in your body that will kill you if you put too much strain on your heart, too much strain on your body. I'm going to have to actually give you traditional prescriptions, and you're going to have to actually sort of take it easily. I couldn't even believe what he was saying to me. I was in shock because I ignored it, because I did not take care of myself. That began my journey. I thought my journey failed because I was going with my camera crew to shoot me, beginning to sign off on this great workout. When 8 months after that, I went back to the doctor and I was on no medications. I still thought I failed, and it was a dear friend of mine who said, do you understand that you were on 8 medications 8 months ago and you're not on it now? Do you understand that that is what the rest of the country is dealing with? A environment in their body that is so toxic that when they try to create wellness, they're actually killing themselves. I actually began my consciousness journey around a new lifestyle, not a diet. And that's what the show is about today. My guest has already made a decision to live in a certain lifestyle, eating vegetarian food. And so when we come back from our break, which we're going to take a quick break and come back, we're going to start talking about why she made that decision and how me as a person can integrate some of her lessons into my own lifestyle. Remember, this is Tina Speaks. This is not just your other shows that you can sit there and watch. You have to participate and figure out who you need to be to do it today. We'll be right back. Hey, Gigi.
I'm sorry, babies. I have no gifts for you this year, but I do have something I can share with my cousins. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. And so it's been said many times, many ways. Merry Christmas to you. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Yeah, although it's been said many times, many ways. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa to Come on, y'all, sing it with me.
Okay, we're back. We're back. That was Niall Jones. Niall Jones is signed to the label called Goodness Entertainment, which is also part of this lovely little family for Roscoe's Media Center, Pitbull Energy Drinks, as well as Punch TV and Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. We're part of the same little family here, and we like to support each other. So on December 14th, for those of you who are in the Los Angeles area, you are invited to a Christmas red carpet toy drive at Rooftop 3100, hosted by me and Easy Way TV. That's right, Eric Zuli and I are hosting this toy drive, and the only price to get into this party is a toy. Just do me a favor, wrap the toy, tell me the sex of the toy, and the age, so that way we can just sort the toys and get them to where they need to go. Some of the kids in our local community will receive these presents, and we're saying at least $10, no dollar store toys, please. And they will receive these toys on December 22nd. We're on at Punch TV. Mouthwork. At Punch TV Studios, we will be giving away the toys. So from 12 to 5, we have the Ochoa brothers coming, who are Disney and incredible brands. We have the real Power Rangers. I'm not talking about the fake ones. The blue and the gold Power Rangers coming to give out toys. And we have other celebrity guests that will be in the space so that they will have a fantastic Christmas experience. And some of those toys, thanks to AmeriCares, will be going to the Philippines to the Storm site.
Awesome.
So I'm excited. This is an extension or an outreach of RMCOnlive.com. So Niall Jones will be singing for us on the first event, the 14th of December at Rooftop 3100, her beautiful Christmas song that we got to hear, and some of her other products. Getting back to our conversation, it was a little heavy when we sort of went for the break because I was talking about my mom, my dear mom, and her journey, and why I've decided to take this journey myself. And I've had some false starts. I've had some rude awakenings. I've had some things that I've had to deal with when it came to myself. And the two young ladies who are with me today, Miss Summer Moore and Gigi Pink, are two young ladies that I've had this conversation with candidly about wellness, the journey to wellness, and that's why they're here. They've made certain decisions when it comes to their health and their lives to live a certain lifestyle And some of us are more successful than others. And what I believe is that your classroom is the world around you and the people that are with you. And the only way that you can sustain a change is through community, because we sustain our negative lifestyles through commisery. We can sustain a positive lifestyle through community or community. So they're here to have a discussion with me here on the Tina Speaks Show. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. One of the things I was mentioning is that my mother was in a coma for 30-something days. At the same time, my very best friend in the world was going through a health crisis at the same time across the country. And so by the grace of God, I was able to help navigate his wellness, and he was inches from not being here. At the same time, my father had 3 mini heart attacks. At the same time, my son was missing.
Oh my gosh.
If there was a time for me to hit a complete psychic wall, I was a motivational speaker and a life coach then. Also, I didn't have a word of motivation, and I didn't want to coach my life. I was actually trying to figure out ways to end my pain because I had cardiomyopathy and rheumatoid fibromyalgia throughout my body. That means I felt like someone was hitting me with a baseball bat all day long. So when they put me on the medication, it was just pain pills. So you can't think.
Right.
You couldn't think. And then I had this strange experience. I was literally saying to God, I laugh about it now. It wasn't funny then. This would be a good day to stop breathing. Hello. I really don't understand my purpose right now. I can't think. I couldn't save my mother. I can't help my dad. I don't know what to do about my children. Everything was being challenged. Then in 2008, of course, the entire economy collapsed. So you're busy trying to shift everything while going through all this stuff. And I literally was sitting there with all this pain medicine in my body going, this would actually be a good time to not be here. I was thinking that. The weirdest thing happened, I kept breathing. So I could stop breathing now. Breathe again. Breathe again. And then I just shifted it. And I shifted it to say, instead of saying, okay, another morning, I said, if I must breathe, let my breath, every breath, be meaningful and be a praise unto God.
Awesome.
And as I shifted that thought, my energy shifted, and then I had a dream. And the dream had an avocado, a fish, and a leaf. And I found out that was oregano, the oregano leaf. I had cod liver oil and the avocado. I started to take these things, and within weeks, I was off of the pain medication.
Whoa.
And I was now able to think about my health, rebuilding my heart, and everything else. So months later, I go back to the doctor, and I'm waiting for him to tell me which medications I still need to be on, everything else. He's like, your heart's clear.
Wow.
Your blood pressure is considerably lower, almost to the point where you would be now borderline, not necessarily in the crisis zone. And because he was a naturopathic MD, he did not believe in keeping people on medication forever and over-medicating. So he took me off of everything. And that really began my journey.
Wow.
How amazing.
That began my journey. Because what I came to realize and what I thought was a failure in trying to have this journey in front of people, and my whole passion is not so much so I can get skinny mini and be on the runway. My passion is people are dying. The number one terrorist in this country is obesity. The number one addiction is food.
Yes.
It's killing us. It's killing our populations. And, I heard a statistic that the average black male will not receive Social Security benefits, not because of the shift in laws, it's because they're dead.
Wow.
That's a lot to think about.
It is.
So when I thought about my journey, I said, you know what? I was afraid of the doctor. I was afraid of the dentist. I was afraid. There's got to be millions of people who are afraid to hear that diagnosis.
Yes. On the same boat.
So even the footage that we shot going to the doctor's office, I'll say his name later when he releases it again. Lets me release it. He was the Biggest Loser doctor, so I'll tell you that he's a really good doctor. I kept that footage because he said words I never heard of before, and I said, it's scary for me to hear you say this about my body, but I need you to say it into the camera. I need the people who are listening to be able to have a relationship with these words and understand that it's not a death sentence.
Right.
It's just a blueprint or a snapshot of where you are.
Right.
So one day, you and I were talking, and we're talking about wellness, right, Gigi Pink?
Yes.
And Gigi Pink is a fashion designer, and Summer directs, produces.
Produce, write, act.
She does that whole thing.
No directing.
Well, maybe, was that prophetic? Did I just speak into your future? Perhaps I did. So we were talking, and we were talking about health, and we were talking about naturopathy and exercise, and we just sat there staring at each other like, okay, we have to make a connection. She was on another show. I was just here, I think, locking up that day. And we just stopped and we talked, and I realized this is the connection that people need to make.
Yeah.
Not, I just lost 100 pounds and I made a $5 million and like, here's my Phantom.
Right.
The connection that we need to make is, I really want to do better.
Yes.
I want more information. How do
Nice.
I get that?
Right.
So I learned from her, and I think you sort of saw my passion,
Yes.
and then we connected. And that's why she's here. And now she and I were talking about the fact that Summer, is a vegetarian.
Okay.
I really believe, though I like my hamburgers and stuff like that, kill a cow, kill a cow, kill a cow. But I really believe that there's something about that choice in eating that I can learn from.
Completely.
I can learn from and adapt, because there's a reason why. And see, once we have our adaptive thinking or conditioning models, and I had to ask myself this question over the year, why do you eat the way you eat?
Yes.
Why don't you eat breakfast in the morning? I don't like to eat breakfast. It makes me literally nauseous in the morning. So if I eat past 10, I'm okay. But if it's too early in the morning, I don't. So the solution was make a smoothie. I'm not eating, but I'm getting my nutrition, and my metabolism won't stall. My metabolism stalled. So now for me to learn about vegetarianism and why you made that choice is going to help me to understand, okay, how do I adapt this into my lifestyle for real? Not just read a book, not just eat in doctor's
Yes.
hill, but to actually put it in my lifestyle as a point of learning that I can learn from you. And that's, I believe, is the solution that people need to know.
They do, because the books leave a lot of things out, and they have this illusion for people that it's easy, and a lot of people try to go vegetarian or vegan and they get weak, and they don't make it, and they're always lacking something. So it is nice to
You have
some
someone here.
insight.
That's right. That's right. The pressing question. So you're going to share with us, okay? Just share with us. Tell me. I mean, there was a day where you ate a burger, and there was a day when you didn't. So what happened in that 24 hours? There's something that happened. Something transpired. So whether it's, for me, it's about personal economy. A personal economy is not just about money. It's about spirit, soul, mind, body connection, and balance. How you sort of feed yourself so you can get the outcome or the income that you desire, right? So there was a moment where eating the meat or eating the traditional food no longer had value to you, or you saw a different value that was higher than that. What was that?
Well, I mean, there's several different ways to go about it and I've talked to quite a few people about it. And I find a lot of people really have a grasping to, I have to have a meat. I have to. And they're attached to this meat idea. But a lot of people really like animals. So one of the routes that's really easy to do is if you, like we were talking about, we really like animals. If you really could put a vision on that meat you're about to eat, that really could be your cat or dog or something like that, then it gets a little bit harder to eat. So that's one way to kind of integrate, like if you care about animals, but people don't want to think about that. It's just a burger, or I got to have a steak, or that kind of thing, right?
My son, funny story, he was only 3. And so we fed him meat. Beef does not sound like cow.
Right.
Pork does not sound like pig.
Right.
Then one day it hit him, chicken is chicken. Ma, that's chicken. I'm like, yeah. He's like, chicken like in a farm? Like the little farm we went to? I'm like, yeah, I'm not eating chickens anymore. I was like, well, it's a chicken. It was made for your eating. Who said? God allows chicken in the Bible. He said, did you ask God?
Oh, whoa.
He was serious?
He protested chicken for 3 years.
Wow.
And it became worse when he realized that a cow, beef, he was just like, well, it has a mother and a father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most people, if they had to go
He's
and
well
kill
over
the
it.
animal,
He
they
will
wouldn't do
eat
it.
a half of a cow right now.
Right.
He's well over it.
That's cool.
Something happened after puberty.
Yeah.
That all just went out the window. But as a little one, he had that conversation with me. Did you ask God, and does it have a mother and a father? just like me.
Wow.
He connected that at 3 years old. So I think there's something innately in us to think about life in
Right.
that way. You know, I'm not going to throw out the flowers and, you know, sing
Yeah.
kumbaya. Well,
Right.
not today, maybe another day.
No, yeah.
I do have my moments. But there is a thought when you think about the cycle of life. Now, my what is it? What would you call that? Paternal grandfather, my father's father, 100% Native American, right? He used to thank the animal
Yes.
for the contribution.
Right.
That's a whole different way of thinking about
Right.
it. I'm like, well, and then I was sarcastic from New York. Well, can the animal say you're welcome? I mean, it's dead.
Sure.
It's dead. You know, thanks. So, what was that day? Tell me that day.
It was a spiritual journey that I was on, and it came down to I just could not take another being's life to feed my own. It's wrong. If there's other options, I know some people can't physically do vegetarianism, but a lot of people it's just a laziness or it's an attachment to meat, and the hormones and all the things that you're putting in your body, everything we're putting in, we're becoming part of. And then the chickens, the cows, all the stuff that they give them is just, in general, horrible stuff. So you want to take all that stuff and put it inside you and become part of that.
Her face looks completely disgusted. You said, "You want to take all it." It's like I'm like, ew. I feel it for a minute. I feel it for a minute.
It all stems to me down to taking care of other people and other beings because I'm a big believer in karma, helping others and animals, whatever.
And the big principle of that is no one has to be harmed in order for me to be happy.
Right. I mean, you can eat sugar all you want. That's vegetarian.
Sugar's vegetarian. Well, you know, I've decided that sugar, chocolate, here's my new hypnosis mantra. There's certain foods that I really love that I'm allergic to because it makes my butt swell.
That's the allergy.
That's my new imprint. That's my new embedment. I'm allergic to chocolate because it makes my butt swell.
That's so great. Well, what's interesting is they say karmically the cause of cancer is killing animals or eating meat. And it would make sense why there's a rise in cancer in our society. I mean, people are more consumed with, I gotta have meat, I gotta have that than it used to be. I mean, it was
And our
kinda
portions
just
are sort of through
huge.
the roof and everything else.
I mean, the troughs that people go to, the all you can eat, the more I can get, go to Vegas and I only spend $5
more,
and
more,
get something
more,
to
more,
drink and
more,
walk out.
more. And it's funny because I love those things because I want all the options. I'd rather go to a buffet than a restaurant sometimes because I would like to disqualify things at my will instead of only being stuck with one item on the menu. That's just for me. And then if you have children, small children, they're picky eaters. So you rather not have to worry about returning something. But I understand it because the portions are off. It's out of control. What was your process when you said, I want to live a life of wellness?
A lot of things. Health, of course, was number one off top. Also, to lose weight, to not lose weight, to be like, oh, I want to be a skinny supermodel, but just for me, just on the health kick. I didn't want to be 60, not even 60, because a lot of people aren't making it to that point. I didn't want to be 40, locked in a hospital with tubes and, immobile or obese. So to me, it just wasn't worth it. And there's so many alternatives. And like you were saying with meat, they're injecting it with things. They're doing all kind of things to vegetables. The parasites, the GMOs, they're doing all kind of things to everything. So it's kind of like one of those, you pick and choose what you want to do. And it's not easy. I literally... I carry around my own kale salad.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
I carry around my own
Okay, can we show? Can we show? Can we show?
I have to carry around things. And they
She's
don't
telling
tell
the
you
truth.
this.
She's not lying. This is kale. Okay, let me just open it
Yes,
up.
carrots.
Carrying around like
Oh my gosh.
You have to because they don't give you options.
Now, see, I'm a kale junkie. I love kale.
Are you?
I love kale. I absolutely. I'll stir fry kale in a minute, but I want to show everyone this because she's not lying. She's living it,
Yeah,
and you've
it's
made
not
a commitment.
easy. They never, they leave that part out, and when they do,
And you carry your own food. How important is
you
that?
have to, because, and really, unless you're growing your own fruits and vegetables in your own farm, you don't know what's going on. The FDA approves all kinds of mess, they're in for the money at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have this cloned stuff going on. You
Oh,
don't know what
yeah.
the impacts are. So if I were to sit down and really think about it and make it simple, because I know when I go there, I sort of go through this abyss of not even conspiracy theory anymore. It's conspiracy facts when it comes to our food and what's happening, and even the laws changing around raw milk being illegal, which is fascinating to me. To me, I have to look at it very simply for my little brain to comprehend it. If it didn't come out the earth that way, why would you put it in your body?
Right.
And you are biodegradable material.
Yes.
So how do you expect to receive life from something that is not alive?
Right.
And then that's what sort of made me think about what am I eating, and then just doing a personal test. And I convict, urge everyone to do this. Don't just jump into a new lifestyle or diet. Go to the doctor first, like I did, right? Then also, just like you would do with a baby. If you have a baby and you don't know how the baby's going to react to something, you're first introducing food to a baby. You do one food at a time, so you can see how the baby is going to react to the string carrots, how the baby's going to react to. You do one food at a time. You don't just give it a burger, and hope he gums it down. It just doesn't happen. Well, you have to treat your body like a baby because you're rebuilding your system. And I'm no expert of this subject, but I am a pretty good expert of what makes me feel like I'm about to pass out, and what makes me feel like I have energy, what gives me a really bad cranky mood and makes people not want to deal with me, and what actually makes me feel at peace in this environment called my body.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to compel people to do as an action item for today. Take 24 hours and eat a very simple diet and see how you feel. See how you feel, because the very next day when you wake up, you're going to feel your food.
Yes, exactly. And that's awesome that you say that, because I actually tried soy for a while. And what I mean by a while, it was 2 weeks. I was sick as a dog, and I was just like, what's going on? I told my trainer, he was like, it has way too much estrogen, and a lot of it is over processed at this time, and what they're spraying the soybeans with is atrocious.
Wow.
So, like you were saying, my body reacted right away. And it's these things that they're telling us to do, and you do it, and it's a mess.
It's a mess, and you have so many opinions. One thing I love to tell my clients, and, I'm beginning to shift a little bit in this season 2 of my show, now that I sort of found my little voice and my rhythm. Whatever you're watching, don't check your brain at the door. Don't check it at the door. Just because Dr. Such and Such said it and Judge Such and Such said it, Google it. And here's the next step. You Google it, get the information, then figure out real people around you who have done it and if it will work for you.
Right.
I think that's critical. So many times I have done things. Oh, and this was a major, major breakthrough for me. I was going to go, start the workout. Boom, I was ready to go. 55 pounds overweight. I start trying to run. I was like, oh, hell no. This is not working for me. What is going on? Because I was an athlete. I was a dancer. Well, having that illness, my muscles actually atrophied.
Wow.
I was in a fetal position for 4 months pretty much, unless I was working. My lungs were tired. My legs were tired. So here we are. We're telling people to get moving, start working out. That's great. They're fat and they're sick. Will you ever see that movie? It was one of my favorite movies, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. No. It sounds really sarcastic. It sounds morbid. But I watched the movie through the recommendation of a friend in Arizona named PJ Stewart, who's great. And he was actually part of my first process with trying to get this sort of this real reality show going. But he said, watch Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. So this guy comes from from Australia, and he's very sick. He's on a bunch of medication. He has boils on his body. He's 60 pounds overweight, and he decides to do a juice fast for 30 days. He was off of all of his medications and lost like 40 pounds. His energy was through the roof, but he just got to a level playing field. He did not get to where he could be on Power 90 or climb a mountain or run a marathon. He just got well.
Right.
He just created a stable environment to now start building.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's one of my pieces of advice before we go to break. Take 24 hours. 24 hours. Evaluate what you're doing. If you can do it, depending on if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, by all means, talk to the doctor first before you try anything new, anything at all, because your response and your reaction could be volatile. You have to constantly be nourishing yourself. But 24 hours, I did a water apple fast for 24 hours. So I had like Fuji apples like all day because I love them. And then I did great alkaline 7 water, cake and water, for 24 hours. And then at that point, I was able to start to reintroduce things into my diet and see how I responded. That's what I challenge you to do. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on Tina Speaks. You kill your cravings. The sound's not coming up? Is the sound not coming up for ISIS? Okay. You sure the mics are down? Because those two usually go down. Okay. Okay. So it's wrong. I see your face looks troubled. After this, you're going to find an artist named Shea Chambers, Shea, and we'll just stay on her page from this point forward. Because I only play indie music so that we don't have a problem with licensing. Is there any way we can have volume on ISIS?
But I do go to like the Jewish markets or the Armenian Persian markets, just like fresh fare.
Okay, we're back. That was I Am Isis, who's a dear friend of mine. I love her. She's one of my good friends. And I love that song, and I've been playing it forever since the single came out because I've been waiting for it forever. But I love the message. I am free. I'm a solution. It's time to get free. So it's really not about your political leanings. It's not even about the color of your skin. Just like Dr. Martin Luther King is about the content of your character, right? So, just like in this discussion, we're not saying that you can start one diet or another diet, or, Priscilla Valdejulie has a show on our network here at RMC on Live, and she says anything that has the first three letters is DIE in it cannot be a good thing, right? Because it says die is the first part of the sentence. So it's about a lifestyle change. So ignorantly, I thought I could create a lifestyle change based on a production schedule.
Wow.
In 30 days. Well, it took me 40-something years to get this screwed up. So why did I think I could reverse engineer the decisions I made with my diet and my lifestyle in a week or two? It also took several generations of genetic propensities and cultural implementation, right? I'm used to eating collard greens and this and that and pork fries. I mean, my family is Southern. So whether it's a black or white thing, I don't care if you're black or white, you go into a Southern house, you're going to see lard, you're going to see pork, you're going to see fried. So those are things that I had to consider for myself. Is there a higher value for me to change my game than it is for me to stay the same? And ask myself these hard questions. So doing what I call a dietary reboot or a personal economic reboot. A personal economic reboot was not just about the water and the apples. It was also about the water, the apples, the thought life, the journaling, what I thought about myself, what it makes me feel like, how do I see myself in my subconscious, what am I projecting of myself in my natural world, and how does my environment around me actually give me the clues to that truth. That was a real process for me. That was like 30 days, then it turned to 60 days, it turned to 90 days. And then I decided that's going to be a habit, to check in with myself and ask, does this serve me?
Yes.
That's what I really began to learn what personal power is about, or self-empowerment. I used to say, oh, we need to be self-empowered. But guess what? You have to empower yourself. I'm not looking to you to empower me. I have to empower myself. So in order for your information to become self-empowerment, I have to process it in a way that I understand it, run it through the filters of my life and my thought, my consciousness, and bring it into the material plane as action.
Right.
So tell me about some of the hardest actions that you've had to make when you made this commitment. Did you forget? Did you go make a bacon, lettuce, tomato the next day? I mean, did you Jones for it? I mean, tell me.
Well, when you smell bacon, it still smells good.
Bacon is the worst. Bacon is the worst. You learn you have new neighbors when you're cooking bacon.
In the neighborhood. I guess one of the hardest things is traveling. It's very hard. We're in LA. We can find all this vegetarian and options, and there's cool restaurants, but there's countries, and even in the United States I go, and it's just like they can't even comprehend not putting meat on something. And I've argued with them before, just omit the meat. We can't do that.
There's a clip I wanted to play whenever you were on my show. I didn't know it was going to be on today. And it's from one of my favorite movies called My Big Fat Greek Wedding. You ever see that?
Windex.
Well, the guy was a vegetarian, right, that she was going to marry. And she's meeting he's meeting the auntie, Tatula. And she was like, he's a vegetarian. And she was like, what? You don't eat no meat? You don't eat no meat? Okay, we give you a goat. Right? Not that meat, goat's not meat. But I think about that because that's really what happens in our traditional thinking. You don't eat meat. Oh, you're going to be malnourished. You're not going to have enough protein. You're not going to have enough energy. And if you're working out, it's going to take protein to build protein. And these are actually things that I've come to learn are myths.
Yeah, because you can get complete proteins from vegetarian lifestyle.
Yeah, you mentioned one of my favorites, quinoa.
Yeah.
Because that's a protein-based grain. I had no idea that you can have a grain that's not all 100% carbs. That'd be good for you. And I've become a quinoa junkie. I love quinoa. Because especially because I know I'm getting the protein that I need. So what was your moment when you realized you have to change? I have to shift this now.
Realizing my habits, eating late, random cravings, and it was like, what am I missing? And I also got sick last year, and it was just, no one else was getting sick, it was just me. And I looked up this guy, I don't remember his name, a little Indian guy, and he was like, really, you just need garlic and cayenne pepper. I had garlic, cayenne pepper. 3 days later, I'm good. I've never experienced nothing like that with any over-the-counter anything. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so cayenne pepper is 4 syllables but 2 words. Garlic is 2 syllables, 1 word. So it wasn't like tryptophyacid.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. It was something you could spell and
Right.
pronounce that you can buy in a grocery store.
Yes. Yes.
Don't you find that interesting?
Changed my life. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I carry it on. My skin has cleared up. Technically, I have 2 skin conditions, and my skin is clear.
You,
She has
you still
fabulous
take it
skin.
like every day is what you're saying? Or?
Oh yeah, I have garlic like all the time. My friend gets tired of me. Gigi, you have that garlic again?
Yeah.
Then I have like the Master Killings with the
Yeah.
garlic, cayenne pepper,
Lemon
maple,
and maple syrup. I love
mix it
that.
all together and it has like a little kick, and it's good for your metabolism, and everything is just completely changed around. My energy has gone up, everything, and I needed that.
Did it take you a while to make the decision to make the shift?
It
Or
did it
was
for
it
me
instant?
because I wanted it that bad. I seen everyone getting sick. You know, you just watch the news or just knowing people, and you're like, why is everyone so sickly?
Right.
You know, like that's scary if you think about it. Losing vision, like just all kinds of things that are
Right.
it's too much. It's
Right.
like eerie.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a part of that. And I wanted to do whatever I could to not be a part of that statistic.
Yeah, I mean, and that was this. It's the same thing for me. Not that was. It's still every day. I stay present to the fact that I live my choices, right? And so I can choose, and I can wake up with a carbohydrate coma
Yeah.
and have no energy, and be cranky and cantankerous, or I can choose well and then have this sort of alkaline. You can feel that alkaline
Yes.
environment that you create in your body because of wellness, and not even realizing it. But I did make some major shifts when it comes to supplementation, and it's not necessarily vitamin. I told you it was food, with a product that I'm just in love with. In love with. Didn't notice the difference until I put on the clothes that I normally would wear, and I'm like,
Yeah.
they're too big. They're absolutely
best.
too big. And my jeans, I didn't have to lay down and put them on.
Congratulations.
I was like, yay. I don't have to get like a shoehorn to get my butt in my jeans. But, you know, I didn't even know when it happened. I didn't even say I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to start a workout regimen. So I'm going to drink my shake. I'm going to walk. I'm going to drink my shake. I'm going to walk. It became like a daily habit, not necessarily a huge event.
Right.
Right? And so one thing about change, and my actual coaching practice / ministry is called To Change Now. And I tell people, change is not a process. It's not an event. It's a process. But the decision to change begins now. You have to decide. So I'm always trying to figure out, what was that moment? There's a moment before you make the decision,
Oh yeah.
and there's a moment that you're in action about.
Yeah.
For me, it was looking at myself and saying, I look just like my mother. And at first I smiled and I said, oh, I look like my mom. Then I was like, oh, I look like my mom. Not in the aspect that she wasn't beautiful, but she's dead.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Yeah.
Her body expired.
Right.
And I don't want to be looking at an obituary program from the other side before my time. That was my moment.
Right.
My
Wow.
moment said, I could be done.
Yeah.
And my daughter could have the same experience.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back here on Tina Speaks.
Do you know how a lost heart feels? The thought of reminiscing, and how lips that taste of tears lose their taste for kisses. till you learn the meaning of the blue, till you've loved a love you had to lose. You don't know what love is. You don't know how lips hurt until you kissed and had to pay the cost.
Okay, we're back, and we're getting ready to wrap this show. So I know that this is an ongoing conversation for me. So I invite you guys to come back and we continue to discover things together. Some of the action steps I've made for myself even before the first of the year. I don't believe you can start anything in one day and be successful. So I'm doing a countdown to the first and then a count up. And I don't even know what the count up looks like. I'm not even going to say the count up looks like 40 pounds, 50 pounds. It looks like better in my body, better in my skin. And trying to achieve that every day through my daily habits. Drinking more water, being positive about myself, and keeping positive people around me. And most people don't realize that's your environment. You have environments. You have the environment of the mind, which is the first responsibility to adjust and tweak. You have the environment that you live in, which are people, places, and things that surround you. And then you have this environment of your temple, your body. And those things need to be in balance.
Absolutely.
They have to be in balance. And thinking that I could just keep going, keep moving, I was actually killing myself. So I made a decision that I would no longer push in life, just position to receive. And it made a big difference.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank
Like,
you.
even to just a month ago.
I'm telling you, I just started the products a month ago. And she said it
Oh,
last
really?
night. I did.
I didn't know that.
Just a month ago. So, I mean, I noticed little things about no inflammation in my legs, running upstairs and carrying things. That's worth millions of dollars to me.
It sure is.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth millions of dollars, and I love it. I love giving it to my daughter because her energy is shifted, and it's food. So, and I like the fact that when I eat more water-based foods, these are things that I've noticed. When I eat more water-based foods, may not be 100% vegetarian yet, but when I do make a conscious decision to eat fruit in the morning, my salad, eat a salad with my meal, salad at lunch, and instead of having carbohydrates being the base of my plate, I put my food on my salad. Those are just adjustments that I've made. Right, so I'll put my meat on my salad. If I want to carbohydrate, you can have the rice, just take 2 scoops, put it on the side, but the base is just, my energy went through the roof.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So now the value prop to stay on this path is higher than
Yes.
whatever was telling me to stay the same through evidence.
Right.
So I encourage people to look for the evidence. Look, don't check your brain at the door. And being really busy is the biggest deception that we have today. The fact that you can pull out your food from your bag.
You have to.
I've read it in an article, in Women Magazine, in First Magazine, you bring your food and put it in your bag. I'm like,
Like,
I do it for
right.
my kids now. You and I talked about this before the show, that I had to release martyrdom leadership because my kids, I will cook 4 or 5 meals for them one day so that they have food all week. But what did I do for myself?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I can't just preach this stuff. There's certain things I thought I was very good at because, I'm a speaker, a motivational speaker, and a coach. And I was like, you're just full of crap because you are not putting an oxygen mask on yourself first before you putting it on the person next to you.
Right.
So you're going to go ahead, and like there's a scripture in the Bible, Paul says, let me take this message for myself first so I will not be discounted from the blessing. That's what would have happened. I would have been pushing and blessing people, and people would have been blessing and being blessed, and I would have been dead. I mean, that's the only way to put it.
Yeah.
And I chose not to. I choose not to. So this is the beginning of this journey, the beginning of the conversation. I'm going to keep opening up the door. This will be 2 shows, actually. One just for moms and women and how to create a personal retreat, all part of the Tina Speaks family, and one for wellness, because we need to have this conversation in a simple, practical, executable way so it's sustainable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to bring resources. I want to bring experts, and I'm going to bring my success and my failure, because I think the best seminars could be taught by failures, right? Benjamin Franklin was a failure, 107 times before the light bulb actually worked. So he was a great motivational seminar based on pushing past the failure, or what I call failing forward, right? I'm going to fail forward into my success. So this has been our show, and I want to thank you so much. And if you had to give me one key to successful education in vegetarianism, what would it be?
Oh my goodness, one key.
One major. It could be three. But it has to be one, because otherwise I won't remember. I ain't doing a thing. Just being honest.
Preparing your food's a big thing.
Yeah.
And so
And
everybody knows I'm
Gigi
prepared,
bought the
like-
demonstratable on that
Yeah,
one.
she did. Man,
She
that's-
pulled out her
yep.
kale out of her purse.
And then you don't slip up.
Did
then
you
there's
pull
not
kale
the-
out of your Chanel?
I did.
Chanel.
I
love it.
pressed juice.
In your pressed juice. I love it. I love it. So carrying your food, that's a major
Yeah.
key. That's a major key. Do you prepare your food in the morning or the night before?
I'm a night person.
You're a night person? Do you do it for one day, or do you do it for like the week?
I
or-
usually for the week. Well, I'm by myself, so if I
Okay.
cook one thing, it's usually makes more than that. But yeah, I mean, if it's fresh food and stuff, then it's different. Like if I'm using kale in a package from whatever organically, then I can maybe do it. But it just depends on. But carrying it with me, and people at work would laugh at me because it would be like, you always bring your phone, like, and they'd go to McDonald's or whatever kind of thing, and I'm like, you what? They're like, why are you eating so healthy? And but
Yeah,
it's like-
why? Like you did something wrong.
Yeah.
Why aren't you killing yourself? Can you take this
They
gun and shoot
do,
yourself in the head?
though. Yes.
It's
true.
It's so funny how we're wired. We're wired in our society based on norms.
Right.
Gigi, if you had one piece of advice to give me on my journey, what would it be?
Well, you actually said it. Love yourself. Because once you love yourself, you stop. You make that decision to say, you know what, I choose life. And loving yourself is so key. It'll change your whole world around.
Well, that's one thing I absolutely do. I love me. I love me. And, it takes you a while to say that out loud because there's all these reasons why you shouldn't. But if I can't love me, then why do I expect you to?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Right.
It's not an egoic thing. It's just a natural flow of the love that to me is already. Oh, there's my hippie just coming up. The love that's already in the universe, and I'm just a conduit of that love. But I really believe that. I mean, my mantra every morning is God is love. I am love. I distribute love in life, and that's what I believe that I'm here to do.
Yeah.
So I try to do that to the best of my ability. I do have my moments like driving and getting cut off.
Yeah.
Don't really care about the love at
Who
that
doesn't,
moment.
honey?
Doesn't really care. But, this is a continuous journey. So to my audience, whom I love, I want you to be engaged in this conversation. Don't just watch. Don't be a spectator in your own life. Don't be casted as second. Be the leading part. And this is your life. You design the dance steps for your music video, and you decide which part to take. Make sure you do it. So many of us make excuses of why we cannot do it and why we need to wait. What time should you start? When is a good time to start? Not even January 1st. The best time to embrace anything in life is now. The decision to change begins now. So whether it's the way that you work, whether it's the way that you take care of yourself, whether it's taking a walk, or even learning to say this powerful word that I love to say when I'm overwhelmed, no. Learn how to say no. That decision can begin this very, very second. I invite you to come back again here on Tina Speaks, and we'll have a lot more information. Go over to the tinaspeaks.com website and get your action plan strategy and figure out who you need to be to do it today. We'll talk to you soon. Namaste.